Rock Express, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM, KCAA Loma Linda.
Welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, created and hosted by Scott Knudsen, to explore the crossroads of horses and business. Now here's your host, Scott Knudsen.
Hi, and welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen. Whether you're listening to us on KCAA, our NBC affiliate out in California, or watching our podcast on one of our many platforms, we really appreciate you and thank you for watching. Today we got a fun show. We've been trying to do this show for a while, and I can't wait for everybody. Most of y'all already know the guy, but it's going to be fun to talk to him for about an hour. And he's one of the greatest bullfighters ever, especially in the PBR. He's fought bulls at the highest levels of the National Finals Rodeo and the PBR World Finals, and he has a cool name called Fearless Frank. I want to welcome Fank Newsom to the show. And Frank, thanks so much for being on.
Hey, you're welcome, Scott. Thanks for having me. Just glad to be here.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be fun. So, heck, I don't even know where to start. So I guess from the beginning. So your career, it took off so quickly being a bullfighter. How did you start? What was one thing that said, hey, I'm going to be a bullfighter and one of the greatest ever?
Well, I grew up working on ranches with my dad, day working, showing cattle, playing football, in school. And then I went to work for a guy in high school that rode bulls, Jay Cochran. And some of the other guys, they were older than me, but were riding bulls. And so, like, we would practice. I wanted to ride bulls, and I was terrible at it. And I mean, really I was, but we would trade off saving each other. And it just wasn't long where I knew that was my spot, and one day it just kind of clicked, and it was like, I'm going to devote, that's me right there. That's my spot. And I just went to work at it real hard, just going at it hard, like I really wanted it. And I had a lot of success early on, I think, and I know I did.
Well, man, Frank, I love that. I love that you like the sport and you like sports in general, but you said, okay, bull riding, maybe not, but saving lives is where I am, my goal, my niche. And
well,
I love how you found your spot.
I really wanted to ride bulls. Like, I really wanted it, but I was terrible at it. I just didn't I had all the try. It wasn't like I was afraid and jumping off or nothing like that. I just really didn't have any talent at it. And, but the bull, like the saving, like I had that knack and kind of that little knack for knowing when to get there and wanting to get in there, and, a lot of the other guys would try to save, but they couldn't get all the way in there to really save, but they were good at riding. And so, I could get all the way in there and really, really save and do the job, and I just knew that was my spot.
Man, I love that, how you just waited till you found your spot, and then you just exceeded in it so fast, and your career just took off once you found your niche. Well, I know there's a lot of guys, too, that are glad you did.
Yeah. Well, and I know, like, growing up around all the good men I got to grow up around and the good cowboys, and they took time to teach me stuff and, show me stuff. And then the good football coaches I got to be around that taught me how to work hard. And in other words, I think all that kind of gave me an edge in the arena, and I always knew that I could show up in shape. I could, I could control that part. And I try to pass that on to the young guys now. It's like, while you're learning, at least one thing you can control is showing up in shape and showing up ready, and I don't know. I just had a lot of success early on, and it turned out all right.
Hey, I love that. And so playing sports in high school and in school, playing football. So you were working out, your different workouts. Did you change your workouts when you went to become more in the arena with the bulls, or did you kind of stay the same?
No, I think I can look back now and I can see how I've constantly just kind of, changed it to where it was really just for bullfighting, and I think the one thing I learned playing, I had some really good coaches that really worked us hard, and it taught me what the hard work, pushing yourself that hard, how much good comes out of it, and like, you can push yourself to that spot where your body's like, man, we better quit, or you can push through that. And that's when you really find how far you can really go,
I love that.
I love it. Just kind of carries over and that's the hard thing to get these young guys to learn now is, don't just push it a little bit, try to really challenge yourself, and see it'll carry over into the arena.
See, I love that. I love that pushing past where you feel comfortable, because every night in the arena, you put yourself in that position. So all of that training, all those days of training paid off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you were talking about some of your influences growing up and some of the cowboys and ranchers you grew up around. Do you have a story or two maybe that you can share that maybe helped turn you into one of the greatest?
Well, like there was one guy I grew up around, and he was pretty hard. Like he was a good cowboy. There wasn't nothing he couldn't get done, but it wasn't like a suggestion. If he said go do something, you better go get it done, And I think back to I was really young, and some of the things, situations I had to be in, and just the animal part of it was scary, but. Right. I was more afraid of him than I was the animal. I was more afraid of letting him down, or what was going to happen if I didn't hold that gate, or if we were all the time breaking show cattle, and or a horse, or if you let a horse go, it wasn't okay. You didn't let it go.
Yeah, fear's a great motivator, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember getting drugged and getting through hard situations, but being more afraid of him than I was what might happen to me, and just looking back on that, I think it taught me how to deal with that, that fear in them moments, and deal with it, and so looking back, I maybe in the moment I didn't really like that guy. Those days where I was mad at that guy, but he played a big part, and just getting me where I could, be in them situations with them animals and be a real bad situation, but still keep my cool and work through it,
It's amazing, when you're working with youth and interns and younger bull riders and bullfighters like you do, you never know who you're going to influence and how it's going to shape their career. And what he did those years ago made you at the top of the game for so long, saving other people's lives because of what he taught you on the ranch. I think that's just so cool.
In the moment, we were just trying to get a job done, and it was just me and him a lot of times, and he was trying to make me into something, But obviously, there was a lot of days where he, his methods were pretty rough, and probably wouldn't go real well in society, or whatever, but anyways, I can look back now and I can be like, that probably helped me a lot more than I think it did,
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? So cowboying and all was probably great, but playing football, what position did you play?
Man, my senior year, they moved me, I was a running back all the way up through school, and then my senior year, we got a new running back in, and he was really good. And we were needing help on the line. So coach was like, man, I need you to move to the line. And I was like, all right, whatever we need to do. Because we were dead set on having a winning season that year. And as a group, we all committed. We worked our butts off, all through the off season. And so I committed to that. I ended up being center, and ended up being an all-area center, and
wow.
Area, I committed to it, and I worked hard at it, and we had a winning season. We had a good team that senior year. My favorite was defense, though. I was inside linebacker, and, man, I love playing defense. So.
That's cool, man. I love the fact that you were just whatever it is for the team, and your whole team rallied around that to win. You know,
Well, and that was kind of I knew what the coach was doing. Like we knew that it was going to work, and so we were just whatever it took to win that year.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
So.
It kind of goes back to the cowboy code and the ranching code. You know, just whatever it takes to get the job done and successfully.
Oh yeah.
You know, I
remember
that.
One time we were catching some cows, and I was pretty young, but I had to. It was a really wild set of cows that got away from a bunch, you know. So we set this trap up in this bunch of trees, and you know, so I had to sit in there and hold this rope and wait and wait and wait. And you know, my job was to shut the gate, you know, and
right.
Golly, you know, of course I wasn't very old, and you know, like there was some time when you're like, man, I just want to move, or I want to get up and go do something. Yeah. And you're like, no, because about the time I move, they're gonna, you know, them cows are gonna be coming, and I'm gonna mess the deal up. So you had to just whatever your job was that day, you had to do it.
That's so hard to do, and I think that's what we owe to the generations before us and to the livestock. You know, they teach us patience. You know, being a young guy sitting there waiting on the cows, and the excitement's coming. It's hard just to sit and wait. That's a tough ask.
Yep. Well, and back then, you know, like you knew what was coming if you didn't too. You know, your dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Screw that deal up. You mess it up, and you're gonna get it. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's easier just to sit there and wait for sure. Yeah, but one mistake, you can turn the cows back, or somebody can get hurt, and and I think once again that probably helped with what you did with your career. You had to wait until the exact right moment to go in and save somebody.
Oh yeah, and just being around cattle and being around them good cowboys that taught you, just like sorting cattle and letting them walk by you and being smooth and not messing things up, It just teaches you how to move in that arena and just know where the animals are and know where you need to be, And a lot of them young bullfighters, I'm like, if y'all want to really get a job, go get a job at a sale barn. And you're around cattle all day long, and you're just trying to figure out the easiest way to get them moved, And I just know, like, in watching Cody Webster, like he got to grow up around me, and we got to work a lot of cattle when he was young, and my oldest son, and and me passing on to them what was taught to me, and you know what I mean. It gives them an edge in that arena. It gives them an edge over the other guy that maybe has a lot of talent, but really doesn't know that much about animals. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that's why your clinics are so important too, and we'll talk a little bit. Let's just talk about them now. So. And then we'll go into some stories. But as far as your clinics, let's talk about that. So people can go train with you and get that firsthand knowledge.
Right. Yeah. And like, I think actually we're trying to get it set up for in October, me and Cody to put on a school together at Rex Dunn's place, which is Coyote and Jace Dunn, his boys. They're at, Warwick, Oklahoma, and that's Rex is the guy that probably taught me the most about fighting bulls. You know, and he was one of the greats. And he passed on so much knowledge and I was able to get in front of so many bulls with him and learn so much. And a lot of our school, a lot of the things that we teach, the fundamentals we teach, are stuff that he taught way back then. And, we kind of put our own, things that we've put together with it. But you can trace it all the way back to his schools that he did forever, And I just think that's really cool.
Absolutely. It's really cool that you do the clinics, too, to help people train with you and get to learn, that generate what you've learned and you passed it on. So if somebody's listening or watching today on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show and they say, hey, I want to go take a clinic with Frank, how would they find you?
Well, I can probably give you I usually just have them call me,
Okay.
I'm not afraid to give out my phone number to them young guys. You know, like if I know there's a guy that really wants to do it, you know, I'm like, hey, call me. We'll get this.
See, that's so
figured out.
awesome.
You know,
See, that's so great. You know, to have that.
A lot of young guys that call me all the time, and you know, are like, send me this video. Hey, what do you think about this one deal here? I'm like, well, let's see here. If you'd have tried, you know, you weren't focused in right here, you know, or you hesitated right here, you know, and you know what I mean. And we can try to help them that way too.
That's so awesome, Frank, man. To give kids or the youth that kind of access to you is just incredible.
Well, and as far as for this school coming up, outside of giving you my phone number, I don't really have anything set up right now. I think Cody is still trying to get that set up to where, you know, we can have the guys send in their applications and all that. So
that's awesome. And once we get the flyer, we'll share it on all our social media too, so they can find you for sure. And it's such a great thing you're doing for the industry. And when we come back from break, we're going to talk about maybe the first arena or the first bull you ever fought, and get some stories and go through the timeline. So it ought to be fun. So we'll be right back with the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show.
All right.
Scott will be right back with more.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hello, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I want to tell you about a product I've tried and I love, and I feel the Cowboy Entrepreneur audience will as well. It's Rebellious Infusions. Rebellious Infusions, they're little packets of flavor. And you know, it gets hot in South Texas, over 100 degrees every day. And I like my water, but it's water. So I use these infusions, put them in my water. It makes it cold. It's great flavor, 0 sugar, 0 calories. It's pure energy infusions. Rebellious Infusions. Go to drinkrebellious.com or on all social media platforms. Drink Rebellious. Hi, and welcome back to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen, with the legendary, one of the greatest bullfighters of all time, Fank Newsom. Frank, we were just talking a little bit about your clinics. So let's go in the way back machine. Do you remember your first bull that you ever fought? You were like, I'm going to fight a bull.
Well, like, I do kind of. Mac Yoakum down in Glen Rose, Texas, when I first started fighting bulls, that was the first place I went. And Jay Cochran would haul me down there, and we would either be getting on bulls and fighting bulls, just doing it all, you know. And Mac had a pretty good set of bulls. And he had a lot of the old Brennel, scary, big horns,
yeah,
you know. But he had this one little black muley. And, like, he wasn't even that big. He wasn't scary looking. But that little dude run me over so many times. Like, it was just crazy how many times he run over me. It got to where when he'd come in to shoot, I just knew it was coming.
It was kind of like the rancher you talked about earlier. You just knew it was coming.
I just knew. I mean, I knew it was coming. And the first time he run over me, of course, I grew up watching bulls tear up stuff and having all the grown men tell me how, be careful, how dangerous it is, and knowing how dangerous it is by seeing them, all the wreckage they've done. But I just remember the first time he run over me, I just thought I was going to die, I was like, well, heck, I didn't die, that wasn't so bad, And, of course, everybody was like, hey, you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And I'm like, hey, let's go again, But that little bull, it's just crazy how that little bull, every time he'd come in, like I deal with all these other big bulls, but that little bull would come in, I just knew. I was like, here it comes, And then finally one day I just bear down and I just kept working on my game. And one day I finally got around him and just really did good with him. And I was just like, yes, yes, yes. And everybody was like, what's the big deal? He's just a little black muley, And, I was like, you don't understand, But looking back all the way through my career, there was always them bulls. There's that one or two bulls that you run into that would test you, and maybe hit you just a little harder than the rest of them, or they were just a little bit faster, and something that would get in your mind, and it would make you want to either step up to another level, or it would kind of jack with you. And, and like Rex Dunn, he always told me, he said, a bull is just a bull. He's as bad as you let him be, and
Awesome.
That's what he meant by that was, that bull, that's the bull that made me better. All them other bulls were good and they're hard to deal with, but that one bull is the one that made me dig in and work on my game and improve my game and go to another level, And so looking back all through my career, all them bulls, whatever time period it was, them bulls are the ones that I appreciate.
Yeah.
Because them are the ones that made me better or kept me at my top of my game, Because them are the ones that made me go home and get back to work, dig in a little bit,
I love that, man. I love that. And you just accept it and you just learn from it. So you were just talking, and it's a crazy job because you get through doing your job, and you say, okay, it didn't kill me today. Let's keep going, So
Right.
what do you think's harder, the mental part of the game or the physical part of the game?
Man, I tell you what, the mental is probably as big a part of it as anything. The physical, you've got to have the physical. But when you're going hard and you're busy all through the year, you're hardly ever at 100% physical. Like you're usually banged up at least a little bit, So the mental is what gets you through it. The mental is what gets the job done every day, because that's what separates, I think, the good hands and then the really top hands. Because
Right.
the top hands, you can get pretty banged up and go on and still do a good job and finish your job,
Right.
And that's where you kind of see guys, like they'll do really good until they get hit hard enough or get hurt enough, and then they're like, oh, they want to go sit on the sideline, they want to step back,
Right.
and it's like, no. And looking back as a kid, all the things that I've got to go through, it taught me that you can be pretty banged up and you can still go get it done, if you want to bad enough, and I just thank the Lord that I always wanted to bad enough, like that want to was in me. So
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
And Cody, I see Cody, do that. And like when he was young, he was always wanting to get around bigger bulls. And he was really young, and I was trying to hold him back and trying to keep him safe until he got a little bigger. And he kept on me about it. And I'm like, all right, well, get in here. And we're going through some bulls and bucking some bulls. And a couple of them are a little bigger and a little bit meaner. And one of them gets him down and gets him pretty good and cracks a rib. hurts him quite a bit, and so I'm like, all right. And so I'm just looking at the next bull, and we're about to buck another bull, and Cody's still kind of bent over, and I'm like, hey, if you can't do it, that girl over there will trade with you. You can video, and she can fight bulls. And he's just like, oh, he just gets mad and sucks it up and goes on and finishes the day, But, it was the same. It was kind of the same that I got passed down to from the guys I got to grow up around. It's like, if you really want to do this, this is the reality of it. And you got to suck it up and try a little harder and live with it, and do it.
See, I love that, because the mental part of
Cody can be hurt worse than, most people can even survive, and you won't even know he's hurt. You know what I mean? But that's the level of the mindset he has, and that's why he's at the top.
High pain tolerance, for sure. You just have to block it. So what I love about the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show is there's so many people maybe never been in an arena, or they're entrepreneurs, or they do different things. Can you describe, so I'm sure everybody watching or listening today has run in the sand on the beach, and that's tough to do, is just run in sand. But being a bullfighter, you're running in sand that's really deep, really fresh, with something coming at you really, really fast. Can you describe that, like break it down so a novice can know what that feels like and what that's like?
Well, and, it is challenging. It's hard to run in uneven dirt. Every step you take is different than the other one. It's uneven. You're hitting holes. You're hitting dirt clods. So you've got to just learn how to do it and deal with it. Just put it out of your mind and just know. Like Rex, when I was younger, we would show up somewhere, and the first thing we look at is kind of like a barrel racer. Like, what's the dirt like?
Absolutely.
We're looking at the dirt, and a lot of times it'd be terrible, just real deep sand or whatever. So we're bitching about it and we're griping about it. And Rex is like, you don't like the dirt? And I'm like, no, look at it. He goes, well, quit looking at it. It ain't changing. You got it. You're not, it's not like they're going to change it for you. You got to do your job, and so quit looking at it. And that taught us, to quit worrying about it and just go deal with it, and that's like while you're at home and all them workouts you're doing when nobody's looking. If you're working out hard and you're training for that, and then you show up and the conditions are bad, it's not that big a deal. You can just adjust to it and go right on and get your job done. But if you're kind of taking it easy at home and you're kind of half-assed your workouts and you're kind of being lazy, well, that's when all them things do affect you. You get there and then you can't get your job done because the dirt ain't good enough or whatever, or it rains, Like, I remember one time having to work in the mud that was so deep and sticky that I actually had to take my shoes off because it was just balling up on them. So I actually fought bulls barefooted. And I was so into what I was doing, I didn't even think about it. I was just getting it done, one bull after the other. And I get to the hotel that night, and I'm taking a bath and washing all the mud off of me, and my feet are killing me. They're all cut up on the bottom, and, like they finally thawed out because it was a little bit cold that night. And, you're just like, oh, man, but in the moment, you're just whatever it takes to get that job done in that moment, And, of course, going through all of them, and then you finally get to the big times, and you get in them big buildings where things are more controlled. The dirt is usually a lot better. Well, you just appreciate it. You appreciate that a little bit more,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you had to go through what you did to get there for sure. So
I remember one time we did a bull riding and bullfight on a parking lot, and it still had grass on it. Like it was up in Oklahoma City, and it still had grass and like lumps of concrete laying around, and we just built this arena and did a bull riding with a bullfight right there one day. And, Rex was like, hey, this is it. There's no changing it. This is what we're doing today. And we're like, okay, let's go,
Yeah. I love that, man. It doesn't matter. You just do it. You just strap up and go. So can you describe somebody, maybe a novice fan again, or maybe one that's experienced that might want just have this question. Bullfighting is a team sport. There's three of y'all in there working the bull, protecting the rider. You're in cadence. Can you put somebody in that mindset, like on the team? What are you looking for, and what are they doing when they see that training?
The teamwork is so key in what we're doing now, like in protection. And so there's three of you working together, but you're all focused. Your focus point's the same, and it's the bull and what's going on with him. Where's he going? What condition the rider's in? When's he going to come off? Where's he going to land? And you're all just knowing where to get. And at that right time, maybe I have the shot to make the first engagement with that bull. But then the next guy is waiting on where am I going to go with him. And so he's going to help pick him off of me. You know what I mean? And then the other guy's going to maybe kind of grab that bull rider and help him get moving, help him get out of the way, And so there's one job, and everybody knows what we need to do and what needs to happen. So it's just a matter of adjusting. You're just constantly adjusting. It kind of reminds me of football playing zone defense, where
there you go.
In the middle of the play, everybody's kind of got a place, a part that they're responsible for, but you're just moving, adjusting to the way how the play's developing,
I love that.
So
that's a great way to describe it. So are y'all talking?
Well, there's communication going on for sure. And the more we get used to each other, like Jesse and Cody and I got to where we were probably as good a team as anybody that I ever got to work with. We just knew where everybody was going to be. And like the communication was there, but if you were on the outside listening in, you probably wouldn't know what was being said. It's more just like, yeah, right there. Come on, right there. I was late right there. It's just, we're communicating and we know what's going on and what we're saying, but it's not like we're having long sentences or long conversations or nothing like that,
Right. Because they're bucking the next one right after. It's going fast. And there's loud music and chaos.
You're locked in that zone and you're just, in the moment of what you're doing, just focused on that task,
Yeah, describe the zone because, you hear about it, and is it like a tunnel that you just see the next one coming, or what is it?
It's just a great place you want to be, like you're totally in the moment. You're not thinking about yesterday. You're not thinking about even later today or tomorrow. You're just totally focused in that moment. And just locked into that bull, like you can just see. It's almost like everything slows down, and you can just see things happen, and you can feel it, and it's just an awesome place to be. And it's once you get there, you just try to hold that and don't let anything distract you. Don't let anything get you out of that moment, And it's like being with Cody, being with Jesse, them guys you're used to. It's like you can help each other get there.
Yeah. Really? Okay, cool.
And then you just kind of stay there and you enjoy it so much. You just want to keep doing it, like that. I read a book one time and it's about like athletes and stuff, and it's called The Mind Gym, and it talks about the mental game. But it talks about like fear, either is in the past or the future, because it's either fear of what might happen or fear of what happened yesterday. But if you're in that moment, in that zone, there's no real fear because you're just totally locked into what you need to do, and that's really where you want to be,
I love that, man. So when we come back from break, we're going to find out what it takes to get in the zone. Is it the first bull, or is it as soon as you pull up in the parking lot? So we'll be right back on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show with Fank Newsom.
Thank you for listening to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Scott will be right back with more. For more information on Scott Knudsen, the Cowboy Entrepreneur, visit us online at cowboyentrepreneur.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hello, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I want to tell you about a product I've tried and I love, and I feel the Cowboy Entrepreneur audience will as well. It's Rebellious Infusions. Rebellious Infusions, there are little packets of flavor. And you know, it gets hot in South Texas, over 100 degrees every day. And I like my water, but it's water. So I use these infusions, put them in my water. It makes it cold. It's great flavor, 0 sugar, 0 calories. It's pure energy infusions. Rebellious Infusions. Go to drinkrebellious.com or on all social media platforms. Drink Rebellious. Hi, and welcome back to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen with Fank Newsom, and we're talking about getting in the zone and what that's like. So Frank, when did you get in the zone? Because that's a really rare kind of deal to be that tunnel focused. Was it after the first bull? Was it the first hit? When did you get in there?
It kind of varies, you know, like you leave, you work all week knowing what you're going to go do, you know, so you're putting your workout in, you know what you need to do, and then as you're traveling to that event, you know, you're dealing with life and making sure you got everything dealt with to where when you get there, you can, you know, you don't have all this normal stuff on your mind, you know, and then you get with your partner, like especially if we always love having a good locker room, you know, if the guys are in there and so we're just, you know, jacking with each other or we're talking bulls or, you know what I mean? Just trying to get each other and maybe even there's times when it was serious, maybe something bad in one of the guys' life and we're trying to deal with that right then, you know, and then, you know what I mean? It's all about getting to our best in that arena. And sometimes it happens quick, you know, and then you're just trying to keep each other motivated all the way through the night. Because then bull ridings can get long, and a lot of them TV breaks to break up the action, you know, and so you're just trying to keep each other locked in. Sometimes it is like we had this saying, like, come on, let's go get some hair on us, you know, like it's just trying to get in that place where, like, I want to go get locked into this bull and get my hands on it and, you know, try to get in that place where I know I'm effective, you know, and you know, and like Lucas, we got to mess with him, and sometimes you can have, maybe it's a ranked set of bulls out that night, and maybe, you know, you're just having trouble getting to that moment, and one night I just look over at Lucas, I'm like, man, we're going to get underneath one tonight. We're going to get all the crap hooked out of us tonight, you know, and I mean, Lucas he just kind of looked at me like, you know, and I'm like, come on. Man, it's gonna be fun. Come on, and then that kind of got us to that reality that it may go that way, but we're gonna go at it hard, and we're going to go at it with our very best, you know, and next thing you know, when you get into that state of mind, you know what I mean? You're dealing with that and you're more in that moment. And the more aggressive you can be and the more confident you can be, the safer you are, you know, because you got to get yourself out of that mindset of what might happen, because that's going to make you hesitate. It's going to make you question, you know, have too many questions. So it's about that aggressive, you know, knowing the reality of it may get real bad tonight, but we're going to go at it hard. Let's go. We're all in it together. And that's just ways that, and if you're around guys long enough, you develop them kind of relationships, you know, to where you kind of can tell, like if Lucas or Jesse, you know, if they're having trouble getting there, and then, man, I need to go jack with that guy a little bit. I need to go, and then in return, like if I'm struggling, maybe Cody's going to jack with me a little bit.
So I love that, how y'all lift each other up. But it's so addictive to be in that rare space where everything is clicking just perfect.
Oh,
and it's moving so fast.
It's awesome when things like, say you buck 50 bulls that night, and you're working and you're trying and everybody's locked in, but there may be only 2 or 3 bulls where it really just works just right, and it's just like, oh, that was so awesome, and that in that moment you're just craving that again, so you're just trying to keep it, you know, and
it's
a lot
like
of it takes, well, and it takes the right bull too, you know. It takes,
absolutely.
You know, because a lot of times you can get into a set of bulls that are just really good at bucking and nothing really happens. Well, you can kind of get lulled down or lackadaisical or whatever, and you're kind of too laid back. But if you get in them hot bulls that are testing you and trying you and throwing things at you that you're not ready for, that's when you really get to be your best, you know. And that's what, a lot of times, if you're ready, that's what's going to help you get in that zone, you know. And
there's nothing better, you know, riding horses for me. Whenever that horse and I are working that cow just perfect, all 3 animals are locked in. It's so great. Or a golfer with that perfect swing, that one time out of the 18 holes brings him back, you know. And it's such a great time, you know.
Well, we call it getting fed, you know, like that's what
love that.
That's what feeds you, that moment. You know, like we do it to make a living. I bring the money home for my family. We got bills to pay, all that. But that's what feeds you, that challenge, and everybody's right on time and the teamwork. That's what kept me going for so long.
Man, I love that. And I remember we were talking off camera. I don't remember when it was, but you were talking about a quote, and you said, when somebody gets in a jam in a bull riding, your instincts just take over, and you just simply say to yourself, I need to help. Would you mind explaining that? It's such a simple sentence, but it's really so complicated because the way you help somebody is you save their life.
Well, and I think it's kind of like what you said about that horse, that cutting horse, you know, like, you can get him broke and you can get him riding around really good, but you can't put that in him to want to feel that cow. Like, he's got to kind of have that in him, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And I think, and just like back when I was first starting, all them guys that could ride bulls really good, like they weren't afraid. It wasn't like they were scared, but like they couldn't make themselves want to go save somebody. And I just think that that's something that's in you. Like they would try their hardest to get in there close enough to make them saves. But, you know, it just wasn't in them to go all the way in there and want to get all the way in there. And I think it's kind of something that's either in you or it ain't. You know?
Right.
And obviously you can train and learn how to do stuff to where you're better at it. But I really think that just instinct to want to get there and want to save somebody, I think it's either in you or it ain't.
Yeah, I think it's a fine line between being pretty good and being great. You know, It's that extra little bit, and that's what separates, you know, you from a lot of people, and you know, saves a lot of lives for sure. So let's tell a fun story on the road. So someone that's never been on the road in our industry, in the Western industry, give somebody a story. Take them back. What is it like driving the truck down the highway at 3 a.m? Give us a story.
Well, and you're just, a lot of times a lot of my career, I was by myself, and just when you're, of course, if you're riding bulls, you can jump in with a bunch of guys and split the driving up. But a lot of times rodeoing, fighting bulls, you're on your own, So I was by myself a lot. And I just remember being so tired and so, you're just driving and driving and driving, and you're like, oh, I just want it to be over. I just ready to be there, And actually, one time I must have dozed off. Actually woke up doing about 80 going off an exit, Oh, I was right in the middle of the road, but I was just like, oh, Lord, thank you. I'm just glad I'm not dead or, whatever. But then, like, if there was, it got to where later, say, like me and Cody, we were going to a lot of the same events, so we were traveling together. And you're just, you love being around each other, but then you kind of get on each other's nerves and, and you're just jacking with each other. And, like Cody, he's a lot younger than me. So we're in the hotel room and say I'm being too loud or like if I had to get up and go to the restroom in the middle of the night and Cody would, he was just about to go to sleep and say I woke him up or whatever. And he's like, oh, and you're just constantly kind of getting on each other's nerves, and kind of pointing out things about each other that, stuff, just fun stuff.
Yeah.
But
it makes those memories, going down the road, and you just never know, what's around the corner. How many miles do you think on a busy year? How many miles did you put on your truck or your van or your car?
Man, I remember like one year I put 110,000 miles on a truck, and that was back when I was rodeoing, and just really going and going. And the new truck I have now, of course, it got to where we were flying quite a bit. But the new truck I had now, I got it like in April, and I don't know, not very. I guess by maybe in a year, I put 25,000 miles on it. Me and Cody just going to bull ridings, and that was still flying quite a bit. So you can sure wear a lot of trucks out. I think back to how many trucks I wore out, and it's just crazy,
Yeah. That's the part about rodeo. It's all over the place all the time, and just to try and keep up like what you did on a professional level, it's a job, just coordinating the job.
Well, and that's what me and my wife were talking about. I retired in May, so I've been home, starting a welding business and been working, and she just can't realize how much the less amount of stress she has, and me too, is just not having to think about where do I got to go, how do I got to get there, and when you're really going, you're just in that mindset of always going to another event. How am I going to get there? How am I getting there this week? What do I got to do? I got to meet somebody somewhere and jump in with them, or just all of these. You're just always in that state of mind, and like now, and I always said that, like, and I was talking about pain, like physical pain. It's amazing what you get used to. Getting used to dealing with on an everyday basis. But with her, I think it was stress. Like it's amazing what she got used to. And she didn't realize it until now. I've been home all this time, and it's just normal life now, and it's a good thing,
Yeah.
But it's definitely challenging. It'll test you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to talk about your last event and how you helped somebody. Kind of goes back to your saying, and then I want to talk real quickly about somebody that introduced us. But at the last event, you were supposed to go out and you were going to retire, and then one of your youngsters that you've been working with needed some help, and you went back to your motto, just help. And would you mind sharing that story?
Well, and we were at the finals there in Fort Worth at the Dickies Arena. The UBF had a freestyle bullfight, their finals, and they had it going on during the day at a portable arena outside Dickey's Arena on the parking lot under a tent. And we were just trying to be involved. You know, Cody was over there with me. We were just helping out, helping them young guys out. But Ryan Fraser, I've known him since he was young. You know, his dad and I fought bulls together way back when I was just starting. And then he brought Ryan to several of my schools when he was young. And the kid always had so much talent and just loved it so much and was just a good student. And then, you know, he kind of got, as he got older, he kind of got off on the wrong track and got into some drugs and some bad habits. Well, then he calls me, you know, and he kind of helped walk him through it, you know, help him get away from that.
Right.
And then I'm putting on a UBF school or camp down there in Fort Worth, and Ryan comes to it, and he's been sober, but he's still dealing with a lot of the you know, the scars from it, his body, you know, just not moving the way it should. But he's working so hard, and, you know, and so I really started pouring into him at that camp, you know, and then I tell him to go home and put to work all this stuff, and I just keep doing right. And your body's going to start moving, you know, your coordination is going to come back. And so it was like maybe a month and a half later that he was at the UBF deal there at Fort Worth, and he's like, man, I've been working so hard and I can feel it coming back. And he just had this fire about him, you know, and so I was like, you know, I wanted him to do good. And so I was there, and the pen of bulls he drew into were a very, very dangerous set of bulls. Like, I could tell they were young, but they were big, and just, they had that fresh, we call it freshness right about them. And it was going to be, I was worried, to say the least. So anyways, when it was his turn, I was outside the pen, and he started a great fight, was just really doing really good. And there at the end, that bull caught him and threw him up in the air, and he landed in a bad place, and the bull got on top of him. And like, that bull had that freshness about him, so he's really trying to, you know, he's trying to kill him. I mean, he's that kind of bull. And next thing you know, I'm over the fence, and I'm heading that way, and the bull picks his head up and comes, and there's the other guys are trying to help too, you know. But anyways, he gets me caught against the fence and hurts me pretty bad. And anyways, I had to go to the hospital, and it turned out to be nothing too bad, but I wasn't able to finish the final. So, you know, it's just the way it is, you know, like you know, a lot of thoughts go through your head because the way you planned it, you know, you planned on finishing the finals, and then this happened, and so you're like, oh, you know, and you're so frustrated. But then it finally just set into me. It's like, hey, this is the life. There's no guarantees in this life, you know, of doing this, and I'm not gonna regret it, you know. And
right.
And this guy, like, Ryan's doing great. He's doing good. He had to take a lot of time off to heal. And the other day he got to go back, and he's been working so hard, working every day, getting stronger and healing. And the other day he's back in the arena fighting bulls, doing good.
It's awesome, man.
You know, and
awesome.
So, like, I'm just like, you know, I'm not going to have any regrets about this at all, you know. And I've got to have a great career. It didn't end like I wanted it to, but that's fine. It ended the way it's supposed to.
You know, you helped save a life, and your instincts took over, and you just helped. That was your quote, and you've done it. You know, and that means everything. And I'm so glad a mutual friend of ours introduced us, Dr. Harry Anderson with Total Feeds. You know, he told me about you, and oh my goodness, he was just talking so well of you, and I couldn't wait for us to get to meet, and so glad he did. I know he's very special in your life too.
Oh, and Harry, like, whenever I got to get with him in the Total Feed deal, and he's been such a big part of our family, like helping us with that, you know, and it's allowed, you know, expenses pile up, and just with that sponsorship, he's allowed you know, it just covered a lot of expenses for us. And it's a great product. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I wouldn't feed nothing else, you know,
Yeah.
and I love the way the horses do on it. Even back when I was training horses, it just seemed like they had that good, strong energy, but it wasn't that nervous or that
Right.
hot energy, you know, that some of that other feed will give them. And the goats, my son, he's raising goats, and
Awesome.
Harry's got him hooked up on the total goat, and the goats do great on it, you know.
So good. Well, he's a good man, but it's a great company for sure. And
It is.
And it's just good people, you know, for sure. And Frank, I want to thank you for being on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I know everybody loved listening and watching. I sure did. And can't wait to have you back and hopefully get to see you down the road soon.
Sounds good, Scott, and I appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Frank. Thank everybody for watching the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show.
God bless you guys.
Thank you to all the great sponsors of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. If you or your business is interested in being a sponsor of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, please call our office at 830-992-1786 or visit our website, cowboyentrepreneur.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hello, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I want to tell you about a product I've tried and I love, and I feel the Cowboy Entrepreneur audience will as well. It's Rebellious Infusions. Rebellious Infusions, they are little packets of flavor. And you know, it gets hot in South Texas, over 100 degrees every day. And I like my water, but it's water. So I use these infusions, put them in my water. It makes it cold. It's great flavor, 0 sugar, 0 calories. It's pure energy infusions. Rebellious Infusions. Go to drinkrebellious.com or on all social media platforms. Drink Rebellious.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-403-4623. 800-403-4623. 800-403-4623. That's 800-403-4623.
It's time to shop in the cool, relaxed comfort of the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands, conveniently located on the I-10 freeway between the Alabama and Tennessee exits. Bring the kids too and watch them play in the only indoor fun center, High Five Indoor Playground, where parents are welcomed on the playground. Birthday celebrations are encouraged, so make plans for some great fun at the mall. More reasons why the Tri-City Center is called the Mall with a Heart.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA